influencer that became popular during the when the I can hear myself. When the Syrian civil war started, she became a bit more popular during the Gamergate around 2013-14, and she's been sort of relevant, if you want to call it, since she is oftentimes invited on many specifically leftist shows, oftentimes sort of anti-Western shows. She's been oftentimes or George Galloway show, for example, basically as a sort of Syrian expert. Her name is, as I mentioned, or sort of her handle is Syrian Girl. For those confused why her name is Syrian Girl, is because she was a girl when she left Syria, because she's been living in Australia for absolutely most of her life. She doesn't have anything to do with Syria almost at all, besides sort of, well, being born there. But that's about it. Her real name is Maram Susli or Susli. She also goes sometimes by the alternative name Partisan Girl. And today we'll go through some of her stuff because I've been following her pretty much since October 7. She has been oftentimes in the news or sort of in like the influencer world. Today, my three victims who didn't know about her before, but now were forced to, are Razi, Marco, and Richard. Welcome to the reality show. Do I want to mention anything about? No. Let me go to Marco first. What do you think about? How did you like the last few hours so far?
Yeah, well, you owe me one, man. Um, uh, I mean, this woman is quite incredible. You said that she shouldn't use the handle because there's nothing Syrian about her. Well, Palestinians do it. They're refugees, even if they are 15 generations. So what the hell? Why not? And to be honest, nowadays, if you want to be famous on social media, all you have to do just throw out some pro-Putin, anti-Israel, tribe and you're gonna start gathering people and idiots like you that follow. But yeah, I mean, all she's done really was she started doing appearances on Russian Today, surprise, surprise, with Galloway. That's where she probably cut her teeth on the social media, on the propaganda circuit. So, and the stuff she does, I mean, she's really another repellent human being that honestly, why on earth am I talking about it?
Well,
Yeah,
just quickly, so as you mentioned, yeah, she's been oftentimes on Russia Today. She's also been oftentimes on Infowars, which is the Alex Jones media, I guess. And also she's been on, and I don't have it here. I think there was one more. Oh, I think it's something like El Mayadeen or something like that, which is like a Hezbollah news network. So, she gives voices to all the terrorists around the world or sort of conspiracy nuts. But yeah, Richard, what did you think so far?
yeah. Well, we introduced her to our rogues gallery of characters that appearing on this show as a producer, an increasingly fat folder of, and she fits in with the rest of them. And it appears that as you look more into her stuff, wherever you look, that she's been in the anti-Semitism game for some time. And of course, that's gets her best buds with people like George Galloway. And you can see when she appeared on George Galloway's show that there was a mutual love in, and that's no surprise. And of course, being in the anti-Semitism game, she gets a lot of retweets for it, and the same with the pro-Russian stance as well. That's the essential element that you can pull out of just about any tweet that you take. It has an element of insinuation and accusation constantly when it applies to the West, but it is prepared to offer Putin a free hand of support. It would seem, and similarly, it's prepared to criticize the Jews for defending themselves at every opportunity. And of course, that's a standard half of the course when it comes to this kind of individual. So, who is she influencing? I think that's the worry, really, because it's influencing a generation, her own generation, no doubt, in different places who take the Syrian girl at her word as being a representative of Syrian society and speaking for it, simply because of her handle. So I think there are lots of concerns about the extent to which she can misdirect and supply misinformation to a whole group of people who follow her all over the place. And of course, they're with following on in the way that social media works with a barrage of similar stuff that they're likely to be fed. It's going to be a serious misdirection in terms of the facts that they're going to miss out on and be posed as facts when they're not. So I think she's quite despicable, though. I mean, I'm sure you're going to show some examples which will give that flavor, but yeah, quite foul. So, welcome to the Rogues Gallery.
Yeah, and when we say she talks about Syria, what we mean is she absolutely defends Assad's regime. She's fully, pretty much bought in. She is in that, sort of. There is this thing called crow epistemology. It basically talks about how you cannot hold too many sort of different points in your head at a time. So you sort of need to, put people into folder. You need to sort of have like a general way of understanding, not people, but general also concepts of understanding. And when I think of Syrian Girl, I put her in sort of the Jackson Hinkle sort of crowd, the pretty much straight up anti-Western, unapologetically anti-Western, like haters. Like these kind of people actually make me a bit more authoritarian than I would like, because the fact that again, she specifically lives in Australia, the fact that these kind of people like actually anti-Western people, like arguing against Western policy at every single point, really fills me with not much hope. I'll go to Razi in a bit. I think I wanted to mention one thing. Well, yeah, about the fact that she's pro-Assad, but a few more things that we can talk about later. But Razi, I think, was it my idea to talk about her or yours? So what did
No,
you?
well, I brought it up today as sort of the easier of the possibilities, just because she's so vile that she gives us the material herself. Yeah, you mentioned people who are unapologetically anti-Western, and you and James talked about some of these people on the Daily Objective, unapologetically anti-Western and going out to celebrate when there's a terrorist attack on their country, which could have just as easily been at wherever they were celebrating New Year's. So. But there's something extra special when it's somebody who has lived under tyranny, has the option of going back, but chooses to live in the West and to express these views, knowing she can get away with it. Yeah, I first came across her about a decade ago when people in some libertarian circles in London were big fans. One of many reasons why you won't really see me in libertarian circles in London. Um, and one of the recent things I remember from her was saying after October 7th, like about some pictures, I think either of Shani Luke or I don't remember what exactly, who would want to rape them or something to that effect. So she vile is her brand. Like that's her personal brand. She knows, like we say about all these people, they know who their target audience is. She wants the people who something like that will speak to and will get them on her side. And yeah, back to the point that's relevant and bears repeating every time we talk about such person. Uh, Such people, are relevant because they have these massive followings of people who approve of what they say and probably get their facts and their values from somebody like Syrian Girl.
Yeah, so some people in the chat mention also Jimmy Dore on top of Jackson Hinkle and Syrian Girl, and yeah, I didn't even think about it, but yeah, I would probably put him in the same sort of category. Although I haven't seen much from him from since October 7th, since I like myself and I don't want to spend all my time watching these despicable people. But Jimmy Dore is definitely in that sort of category. And I mean, you mentioned how libertarians liked her, and yeah, I mean, it makes sense in the way that sort of from that sort of Dave Smith category, like basically, like these people actually do. They hate the West so much that they'd rather support like terrorist regime. They rather support dictatorial regimes than sort of allowing or sort of acknowledging that, yeah, the West, especially the Western policy, we can make mistakes from certain wars. We can, like, do improperly wage wars, or do things like that. That doesn't completely now make it okay for Assad to gas people. We'll talk about that in a bit also. So I'm wondering where we should go. So just recently, just one thing I want to mention, but we can just quickly go over it. Apparently now she's on a crusade against the H-1B visas for some reason. Basically, for those who don't know, there's like a small civil war going inside the MAGA movement. Basically, I think how it started is that Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are sort of, I think, big on immigration, I'd say, or at least they, I think it was Elon Musk specifically saying that we need more like good engineers in America. We need just more educated people in America, even if it has to be immigrants, or maybe specifically immigrants. And some part of the MAGA is anti-immigration, not anti-illegal immigration, but simply anti-immigration. So there is a small fight going on over there. And now Syrian Girl is jumping on, basically agreeing with the anti-immigration folks. Again, I have no idea what is it. Is it like a specific attack on, like, because I believe Indians are sort of the biggest recipients of H-1B visas. So if it's like a specifically, some like Arabs just hate Indians, so she's just jumping on that bandwagon. I have no idea. But it sort of falls in part with everything else about her. Anything you
Certainly
guys?
good at
Yeah.
making the case against immigration in a way, but anyway.
Yeah, I mean, Jesus Christ, definitely. But Marco, do you just wanna make any points about specifically the H-1B visas she's commented on recently? If not, we can move on.
Well, not much more apart from saying that she often jumps on a bandwagon. She's not gonna miss one, and this is the latest one. But the kind of anti-Semitic stuff that she's been posting, and the kind of even about the terrorist attack in New Orleans, she kind of throws there a few facts and then wink, wink, insinuating there is some kind of conspiracy or those facts go together somehow. She doesn't explain how, but she just throws it there. And effectively, I know, we understand each other, don't you? This kind of stuff is really repellent. It's really on the Candace Owens conspiratorial end of things. And together with the kind of anti-Semitism she's been showing, even with some graphic and fairly horrific comments about October the 7th itself, she's just intolerable, really. I mean, this woman, I can't believe it. People follow her. Well, I can, unfortunately, but
I think her H-1B stance is simply part of her general anti-Western stance, to be honest. What would make the West more successful is taking in the best minds from across the world, integrating them into your society, and the whole country gets the opportunity to benefit from it, therefore. And of course, she would want to stop that. So I think it's just an anti-West attitude, and anything that the West is proposing that would make it stronger, certainly stronger than Putin, she would be happy to leap on that bandwagon and try and scupper it from the off. So I mean, I think that's the extent to which it fits into anything. I'm not sure it's a fully integrated position, even from her point of view.
We have a chat. We have Bonnie in the chat saying, "So for Musk, it's what we need, not basic human freedoms." I mean, I haven't been following those arguments super closely, but I think Elon Musk was never sort of again in any category of like principled person. But I think in this like situation, he's absolutely right. Like the fact that this is even like an argument is like crazy. Like I hate the fact that I have to stand behind Elon Musk. It's like people like her make me actually have to defend even people I don't specifically like. So now going into the Syrian civil war itself. She's been commenting. I don't know. Do we want to play the video?
Wait, I want to comment on the immigration stuff. Yeah. So first of all, I agree. Elon is not a principled person. He's on the right side of this because he hires people, and it's better if you're not limited to the people
And
who
he
are.
himself is an immigrant. I mean,
Yeah.
arguing as well as is Vivek too also an immigrant, or was he born in the US? But I think
Yes, he
they
was
are
born in the U.S. because he ran for
okay.
president. So,
Right.
but yeah, it is a debate that's kind of sad because, of course, you should have high skilled workers and low skilled workers, and allow them in. But yeah, it's always interesting to see people who advocate for totalitarianism, like Syrian Girl. They don't have these kinds of debates about who to let in countries that are governed by the ideas of people like Syrian Girl, because people are only trying to get out. Nobody's trying to get in, and it's not an accident. Susie said earlier something about, is this the Australian Candace Owens? I don't think so. I mean, I think first of all, I think she's more ideological and more consistent in where she stands on things. So she's always been clearly evil, whereas Candace was, on the left, and then she was on the right, and she was openly accepted because she was one of those people who left the left, which the right loves, and then she became whatever she is now. I think. Syrian Girl has been more consistent. Davy Boy said, but Katie Halper is even worse. Yeah, part of the issue is we don't have the time to look at all these horrible people. But yeah, I've also had the misfortune of coming across some of Katie Halper's stuff recently, which means there's a chance we will do an episode about her sometime soon. And no, this is not Festivus decorations. Festivus is actually very anti-commercial, so it's more Christmassy. It's a cold day here in London, so I decided to stay home.
Yeah, I recently watched that episode. It's definitely a pretty good episode. Um, what do we wanna? Uh, yeah, let's go to some of her tweets. We can just run through them just so you get some feeling of what she's about. So this is what she said after the fall of Assad. Basically, once we knew that basically Assad's regime is over, she said, "If only we still had the gas." Just for more context, she also denied any allegations or any facts about the Assad's regime, basically atrocities, about everything Assad's regime has done. As well as I've said, she was full supporter of Assad. So which also, if we have time to go through the interview, it's also sort of interesting the way she talks about it, because many things she says in a sense are right, because she talks about how HTS is basically Al-Qaeda, how it's a terrorist organization, how nothing has really changed. And I think that is sort of like a good push against what the West is trying to do now, that the fact that the West is trying to think of HTS and the leader of HTS as a sort of reform group, trying to possibly work with him, which I don't think we should in any way work with them. But the way she puts it through is, of course, from the anti-Western perspective, from the fact that anything the West does, anything that Israel does, is automatically evil. And yeah, she's also defending Assad's regime. I mean, Marco, what do you think about this? Let's say take on the Syrian civil war.
Yeah, her stance about the civil war is pretty quite pathetic, really, because she's so pro-Assad, she can't even get to say that losing Assad, a dictator who used chemical weapons on people, was actually a good thing. She's so pro Putin that she can't possibly be remotely objective. And of course, she lives in Australia, so we know Australians would be fairly hard-nosed about COVID. So perhaps she likes the environment and she picked up some of it. But yeah, only 4 weeks ago, I think she was doing an interview about Assad, say, "Oh no, Assad, he was very strong. He's been in danger before, but he's gonna stay." And the interview asking, "But isn't it true he's leaving?" "Oh no, no, he's great. He's gonna be there forever." And then a few hours later, there he was gone. And But yeah, so she's been pushing this line. Oh, you see, the West is helping the we should call moderate insurgents or rebels and to overthrow Assad, but they're just Al Qaeda, blah 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 blah. Yeah, well, yeah, they're not very good, and what they've done so far doesn't inspire me and fill me with confidence. But the fact that she's right on that doesn't mean that she's right on coming out on the side of Assad. What is she saying? That she would prefer Assad back? I mean,
Yes, that is what she's saying. She's not
exactly.
secret about it.
So,
Yeah, I have to say the way, because you know, don't follow her that closely, but yeah, the way you describe her saying that he's still going to win reminds me of the spokesperson for Saddam Hussein. Daniel, you were too young, but yeah, that was
comical Ali, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
so I was just going to say she's obviously talking about Obama's red line here, isn't she? This is the gas on his own people that Assad used, and I think this is an example to me. This is like in a single tweet. This is why I don't like social media because that is the worst expression of it within a tweet, isn't it? It's evil, clickbaity. It's hideously aggressive. It drops all context. And inspires a big argument between people who largely don't know what they're talking about to follow on from it. And what does it achieve? Nothing beneficial, to be honest. And it's but it's yeah, it's vile, isn't it? That's all you can say about it. You can label it vile and move on. And that's what I'm doing.
so someone in the chat says Syrian Girl was born into certain circumstance, can blame her for that. You know what? Actually, think you're right. We are cracking down on this channel. We are deleting this. We cannot comment on anybody. No, people have free will. People in a sense are born into circumstances, but they have free will to choose what they want. And especially, she didn't grow up in Syria. She moved into Australia. She studied in Western universities. She can definitely choose what she's believing.
First of all, she's 37 years old. You know, you grow out of the circumstances. At some point, you have some sort of responsibility, but she grew up in certain circumstances as an excuse for her supporting those circumstances. No, that's all the more reason why she should be against it. And that, you know, you can find examples of decent human beings coming out of such horrible places and speaking out against it. So no, that is not an excuse for her. It only, it only puts her in a worse light as far as I'm concerned. Thank you, New Bronze Age Collapse for the super chat. The new Bronze Age Collapse says Syrian Girl is an actual fascist. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, oh, there was something I wanted to bring. Oh yeah, talking about like she basically again lives in Australia, and what was funny after the Assad regime has fallen, she put out the tweet something like, "Oh, I wish I could have done more to prevent this, or I wish I could have been more to fight." She wasn't even in Syria. It's again this like ridiculous. Like it's almost I feel like she's actually like trolling. She's like, "Oh yeah, I'll just be like pro Assad Syrian while living in Australia. No one will believe that." And now she has like 500,000 followers on X, and people are still taking her seriously, or people are still following her.
Yeah, a couple of quick things about that. First of all, I generally, as I say often on the show, I object to the idea of saying, "Oh, this person is getting paid," because first of all, you can get paid and actually believe in what you say. Second of all, even if she is getting paid, I would think somebody like her has to grow an audience before they can get paid, and she grew her audience with these ideas. But it wouldn't surprise me if at some point somebody in an evil regime said, "Oh, this is working well for us, let's put some money behind that." So yeah, there was another point I wanted to make, but
Yeah, I mean, Russia specifically is big on disinformation. And again, this is not even a conspiracy. We've actually covered the case of Tenet Media, where Western influencers were getting paid through shell companies directly from Russia, while in some cases even taking Russian talking points. And again, we are not talking about random people. We are talking about Dave Rubin, Tim Pool, and few others like that.
yeah,
So
and
yeah,
we
this. Yeah.
Yeah, and we often get accused by trolls in the chat of getting paid by Israel, but of course, Israel is not pro-Israel enough to actually support our work. So if you actually listen to the content, you'll see why that doesn't make sense. Anyway, this is a shorter episode, and not because we're talking about a woman, so it has to be 70% of if we talk about a man, but because the daily objective was on an important current topic, and but yeah, we did promise some actual Syrian Girl content.
Well, let us just go through the tweets. I have two more. So she also denied rapes that happened on October 7, and also saying, you know, say it before Zionists make it illegal. Well, again, just like vile anti-Semitism. And talking about anti-Semitism, let's also read this one. The truth is, this is from Syrian Girl. The truth is, the Jews outnumber Levantines. 15 million Jews worldwide is a lie. The number is closer to 120 million. They've been claiming it's 15 millions for decades, and they project it will be 15 million for decades to come. The population isn't growing or declining exponentially. It's linear. That is mathematically impossible. Even if we were to add numbers of Syrians, Lebanese, and Palestinians together, Jews still outnumber us. So when someone said she's like Australian Candace Owens, so she's definitely like a conspiracy nut in a similar way. But she has been doing this much earlier than Candace ever did. And also this is why she became famous. Well, with the Candace, it was sort of the opposite. She first got famous, and then she started spreading conspiracies. This is like an interesting conspiracy, the fact that, people are somewhere hiding 105 million Jews just for whatever reason, so they can randomly move them over to Israel. Or again, with many of these conspiracies, I don't even have any idea what it's about. Anything you guys like to say on that, or her denying rapes on October 7, Marco?
Well, that's part of the problem. Most of the time you go through a tweet and you really struggle to understand what she's trying to say. She kind of throws something there, but she doesn't make a point, and she probably can't even put together a point. That's why she just throws there a few facts, and you're supposed to fill the gaps. Of course, knowing that she comes from the anti-Semitic spectrum of the argument, you know exactly what her point is. But what she actually puts out there is pretty cryptic most of the time. And you were saying, forgot the point. Sorry.
Okay, well, I just mentioned that. I mean, she clearly thinks in tribal, collectivist, group terms, and then that's the nature of just about every tweet I've seen from her so far, which is, it's constantly thinking in terms of groups, whether it's her group, other people's groups, and of course, size. A number of people, it determines the strength and power of a group, and therefore whether another group is oppressed or not, even though we're constantly told on the other side that there are loads of Palestinians all across the world who are the refugees. And of course she doesn't refer to the vast amounts of Muslims that exist across the world, because that would make that the biggest group in by some measures sometimes, depending on who you listen to, and certainly bigger than the Jewish group. But that would destroy the argument, even though it's based on a phony premise to start with, which is that the size of your group has any bearing on the validity of your argument. You can be in a group of one, and your argument can be the truth.
Oh, I just understood. I again don't get it. Why is she talking about? So she's talking about Levantines, which is, I guess, a group name for like all people or non-Jewish people in the Levant. So like Lebanon, Syria, and all that. But she's saying 15 million Jews. Well, there's not 15 million Jews in Israel. There's, I think, 15 million Jews around the world. So is she saying like? Because then she's claiming there's actually 120 million. So why is she comparing it with like other people in the region? Is she saying there's 120 million Jews in Israel and they're like budging the numbers? Or again, like what even are they? That's why I feel like I I caught myself. I think she's actually trolling, because these things make no sense. Razi, anything to add?
Yes, a couple of things. Yeah, first of all, the tweet about there were no rapes on October 7th, and then spread it. You know, it's not even the conspiracy theory where you add some sort of theory sounding stuff. It's just a statement, and she expects her audience to spread it. So we often talk about what these people think of their audience, and you know, with Owen Jones, he'll bring up some stuff that he either completely makes up or that you know, is part of the propaganda machine, where an expert like Francesca Albanese has said it, and then he can repeat it with her. She just makes a statement. And that's all she thinks her audience needs, and she probably, having done this for well over a decade, knows who her audience is. So she's probably right. Um, Thank you, the New Bronze Age Collapse, for another super chat. The New Bronze Age Collapse says she praised Giovanni Gentile and Julius Evola. Uh, I mean, that's not a surprise because, again, if you look at the so-called right, and the further you go towards the so-called right, you really do find things that are not in any fundamental sense different from what you find on the left, the further you go to the left. Um, Thank you, Christian, for the super chat. Christian says, I want to get paid for my hasbara. Thanks to you for all. Thanks to you all for arguing against social subjectivism, the idea that she can only see the world through a lens of social or her social environment. I pay you for that. Well, thank you. We do like getting paid for the hasbara as well, and like we said, the Israeli government hasn't figured out how good it is yet. So, thanks.
Yeah, just quickly before we go to the video, I think I just encountered myself being sexist, because for this whole time, or pretty much since I knew about Syrian Girl, I always consider her like a socialist in that sort of like spectrum. Maybe because I just don't believe like that there are any women that can be like women fascists. But yeah, she's actually absolutely fascist. Like, she supports Assad's regime. She's like fully on Russian side, which doesn't necessarily mean you're a fascist. You could still be. There are a lot of specifically tankies, which like communists who are both pro Assad and pro Putin. But yeah, she's definitely more on the fascist side. Which is interesting. But let's watch a little bit from her. This is from an interview. I think this was on December 4th, around that time. So while the Assad regime was collapsing, let's just see what we can get out of her.
Syrian Girl, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm honored to be here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm so excited to get your insight on this. Interested, really. Okay. Syria, what in the heck? This was a surprise. This was a surprise attack that now, first of all, where is Assad and what have the rebels taken over?
Well, there's been some propaganda that Assad is hiding in Moscow and that he's going to run away, a lot of stuff like that. In reality, he's actually in Damascus right now, who was photographed yesterday meeting the Iranian foreign minister. So he's in Damascus, he's in the capital.
All right, let's just cover this because it's really funny. So I don't know specifically where Assad was at that time, but I think it was. I think pretty clear it was. Pretty quickly it was clear how quickly Assad's regime was collapsing. Although I know I still remember how Marco was also skeptical at the time. He was like, "Well, we've heard that before," but no, I think many people were surprised how quickly it fell. But yeah, Assad definitely ran away like a coward into Russia, while some actual Western leaders, some people who actually care, usually stay and fight in their countries. But that's not what Assad is. That's not what. Why would you expect a dictator to ever sort of like stand for his country or anything like that? No, he ran away like a coward, and I think I was enjoying her tweets around the time of Assad regime falling. It was very interesting read, as well as Jackson Hinkle's. Razi.
Yeah. One thing I took note of there was the what is it? Yeah, the kind of the text there was Syria falls to Al-Qaeda linked US-backed rebels. So yeah, you can see what kind of platform she's on, and I see a lot of people in the chat saying we should do a show about Kim Iverson. Look, yeah, again, there's so many people that there's going to be a lot of content this year. Don't worry, we have stuff to cover, and maybe Kim Iverson will be one of those people. Um, yeah, I don't know that I have much to add on that, but I do have a super chat that I want to read. Thank you. The new Bronze Age collapse. Uh, so the new Bronze Age collapse says, speaking of Francesca Albanese, I'm Sardinian, and while she complains about the quote genocide of the Palestinians, she 100% supports China in their endeavor to destroy my homeland with wind farms, bringing us into a Holodomor. That's you're opening up a big can of worms there. But of course, I don't support the yeah the wind farms imposed by the UN. Again, somebody wants to do that on their private property, go for it. But imposed by the UN and by local governments. I also noticed what's his name? What's his name? The Secretary General.
Gutierrez.
Gutierrez a few days ago tweeting about it, and I'm thinking, wow, he's tweeting about something not Israel related. Well done. When he's not destroying the only semi-free country in the Middle East, he's thinking more broadly about how to destroy the rest of the world. Yeah, and I see that we have to wrap up, so I'm Razi Ginsburg on X.
Marco?
Well, I think we covered it all. I mean, she was very concerned about the location of Assad, but to be honest, she's never been concerned about the location of the hostages that her colleagues, Levantines, are actually taken October the 7th, who happen to be still in Gaza, by the way. So, you know, it goes to show how much she doesn't care about human life. She just cares about her dictator friends.
And she's clearly a big fan of propaganda when it's on her side, and that's certainly how she's treated the Russian and Assad propaganda right up to the last until utterly disproven. I think just in summary, you know, you could say what a pout is not an argument.
And where can people find you?
You can find us on the Briefly Objective or the work we do. Clips taken from these shows with added visuals for your social media feeds. Nice and short and sweet, get straight to the point, and the details in the description below.
And there is actually a premiere starting in pretty much as we speak on the Briefly Objective called Palestinians Can Surrender at Any Moment. It's with Jonathan Honig, so make sure to check that out. And with that, thank you everybody for watching today. We'll be back tomorrow with another episode of the Daily Objective, and bye-bye.